I think the autism was caused by the childhood immunizations with environmental and gene factors involved. I think it was just a combination of all of them.
Autism affects 1 out of 150 children, and experts are still unsure of the exact cause. Dan and Lori are parents of 7 children, 4 of whom have autism. They are at a complete loss as to why or how this happened to their family. And what amazes me is you have a total of 7 children, and you're pregnant again. Congratulations. What do people do at home if you have an autistic child when you go to talk about whether or not to have another child, and what is the risk for autism?
You know, that is very, very scary for parents with an autistic child to have another one, because your risks do go up. We do know, over the years, we've learned that there's definitely a genetic factor here. There's something in the genes of your kids that make them a little vulnerable to a trigger. And we still don't know what that trigger is. It could be some viral infection. It could be something in the environment, a toxin, like a heavy metal, like lead. I know you guys had lead in the house. You know, other chemicals. Maybe there's something that happens in the pregnancy too. There's a lot of theories, and I am looking forward to the day that we do know for sure. Until then, we're kind of at a loss.
And because there's so much confusion, we're bringing in some leading experts today. We have Dr. Jay Gordon. He's a leading pediatrician who believes strongly that vaccines are a major contributing factor in autism. He treats the son of actress Jenny McCarthy, who's a major advocate for this cause. Welcome. And you feel really strongly that vaccines are playing the role when we talk about the increase in autism.
Oh, I certainly do. Vaccines, as they are now formulated, can cause autism and other problems. And there's nobody here who disagrees that all childhood medications, including vaccines, should be as safe as they possibly can be. Nobody disagrees with that. Right now, they're not as safe as they can be. I would plead with you, do not vaccinate your new child. You have a genetic, a familial predisposition to children developing autism. All children who get vaccines don't get autism. All children with autism are not autistic because of vaccines. But with a strong family history, honestly, after the 2nd or 3rd child, I think a pediatrician who continues to give vaccines is practicing very bad medicine. Please do not vaccinate this new child.
And what would you say to parents at home who don't have autism in their families when it comes to vaccines?
To think very hard, to find a doctor you trust, to get yourself very much informed, to look at your family history. Do you have a family history of autism or a strong family history of childhood depression or other illnesses, autoimmune diseases? The very serious neuroimmunologists are now saying autism is a neuroimmune disorder. I really think that it doesn't make any sense to give 5 or 6 shots to a little baby whose immune system and central nervous system are still a little bit questionable and extremely immature. Wait 6 months, wait a year, get counsel, read as much as you can. But the way that vaccines are manufactured can cause autism, the way that they're administered can cause autism, and they should be much, much safer.
This is a very controversial topic. Not everyone agrees with Dr. Gordon. We have Dr. Harvey Karp here, who agrees with the studies that indicate vaccines are not causing autism. Welcome, Dr. Karp. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Travis.
And I know you disagree completely with what was just said, and I want you to explain to us why you disagree.
Well, you know, first, all of our hearts go out to Dan and Lori because it's a tough job. And these are great kids. I mean, they're great kids, but it's a challenging job. And it's a national scandal almost that it's taken so long to put dollars behind the research that needs to be done to find out not only what causes autism, but how do we really handle it. What we do know is that there have been well more than a dozen excellent large studies that have shown 0 association between vaccines and immunizations. When Dr. Gordon says that he's convinced that this is associated, he's got to show the data. Because let me tell you something, what we do know is if you stop immunizing children, especially in the first year or 2, you're putting them at risk. Vaccines are a miracle. But we've seen in other countries when the rate of immunization goes down, the rate of illnesses goes up.
The studies were not done well. The studies were done often funded by the manufacturers of the vaccine. I don't vaccinate against any illnesses that pose anywhere near as much a threat to your family as autism does. I admit that if we stop giving certain vaccines, some illnesses might return. I admit that there's no proof that vaccines cause autism. There's no proof. There's evidence. I think that all of the data, all of the studies can be interpreted in a variety of ways. I don't have any proof that vaccines cause autism. I have a strong suspicion that they contribute. But I'd love to move on from that discussion and talk about what we could do to show that they don't cause autism.
Before you recommend, and I know you recommend that immunization should be deferred 6 or 12 or even 24 months before kids get it, you got to have the proof. You got to have science behind this. It's not just you have strong beliefs. I appreciate your beliefs, and beliefs are important to guide research, but we need the research proof before we start jiggling around with something that we absolutely know has helped to prevent millions of cases of disease.
Vaccines have saved lives, there's no doubt about it. But it's not our job to prove that vaccines are dangerous. It's the manufacturers and the researchers' job to prove that they are safe. They haven't been adequately tested. They haven't been adequately tested for safety.
I agree with you completely. All that testing needs to be done. But right now, parents at home who are watching this are having to make a decision.
Yes.
Are they going to protect their children? And not only their children, but their neighborhoods. Because if the only reason we have little disease right now is because so many people are getting their kids immunized. And if more and more people follow the advice that you're giving to defer these vaccines, and we see more illness, the children are going to suffer are not so much the ones who choose not to get the immunizations, but the next door neighbor and the kids in the preschool who then spread the illness back to their little babies who haven't even been, are not even old enough to get the immunizations yet.
More of this debate when we come back.